we take another look at the electrical panel and we just kind of break open the electrical panel and look inside of it, what we're going to see is that there's a variety of different kind of parts of that panel. There's a bus bar behind it, there's a main breaker in this case, there's a meter, there's wiring connecting those, there's a neutral bus bar. In general, there's 4 major constraints or limits that impact how much you can either feed, how many loads you can have on that panel, or how much you can backfeed, how many amps of solar and or storage can you feed back to the main electrical panel. And the 4 main areas are the service, the meter, the panel itself, relating to the busing, the metal conductors, the kind of internals of the panel that carry current, and then the main breaker itself. Okay, so let's talk about each of these in a little more detail. The service is the wires that are coming in from the actual utilities. Wires that need to support larger amperages need to be larger, and they can come overhead from a utility pole, or sometimes they come in what we call underground, usually trenched, that leads to a box that would look like this on your street. And that service has a certain limitation based on the wire size. And if the service is what needs to be upgraded, you might need to run new wires from the utility. You might need to trench to pull those new wires to support the current flow that you're increasing or upsizing to. So that's the first constraint and like limit to really understand. The second one is the meter itself. Now this is one that's relatively simple to upgrade. You can swap out, a 100 amp meter with a 200 amp meter and a 200 amp meter with a 400 amp meter. Costs aren't exorbitant, but it is important to know that those meters are designed and engineered to measure a certain amount of current, a certain maximum amount of current, and you got to make sure the meter has sufficient kind of internal hardware and electronics to support the current that is being provided. The next thing we're going to talk about is the panel itself. It really is mostly related to the amperage of the bus bar. And if you open up a main electrical panel and you look on the inside label, it'll usually say main bus bar or bus bar amperage. And that bus bar amperage might be 100 amps, it might be 200 amps, might be 400 amps in some cases, and they even have 600 amp and maybe even 800 amp residential electrical panels. So that bus bar is really what the panel itself can support. And then the last constraint is the main breaker. And the main breaker is a constraint, it's a limit. You can't feed more than that main breaker, but the main breaker's a engineered constraint, meaning you can pop the main breaker out and put in a different main breaker. And what's really important to understand is there's a specific purpose for that main breaker. The main breaker is designed to protect the electrical equipment. So the main breaker is engineered so that if for some reason you're pulling more current over that bus bar, you're pulling more electrical current through the system than it's designed to handle, the main breaker will turn off to protect the main electrical panel.